All right, I'll give in. If Jayden Daniels is going to be a top 3 or top 5 pick in this NFL draft, he has to be the first overall pick to the Chicago Bears. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Weekly YouTube channel. I'm your host, Owen, and today we're going to be discussing Jayden Daniels and what I think is going to be one of the most controversial takes about him, and that he absolutely has to be the first overall pick of the Chicago Bears if he is going to succeed where people are projecting him to be in the top 5. For a little background, every year I have a draft nemesis. A few years back, it was Trayvon Walker, when people were talking about him being the first overall pick after he used the combine to gaslight the Jacksonville Jaguars into drafting him over guys like Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau. However, in the past year or so, I haven't really had any strong nemesis when it came to drafting and analyzing players who are going to be in an upcoming draft, and based on where the people were projecting them as opposed to what I graded them as. Last year, I guess the biggest one would be Zay Flowers, but even then, I was just saying he shouldn't be a first-round pick, which is arguably a miss, but I still had him as a high 2 when he went in the late 1, so I'm not going to take that as the big thing. And the people I got the most mad about in last year's draft cycle was Tuli Tuipulotu and Clark Phillips III, which, who cares? But this year, I definitely have that player that I am totally against the common conception of where they're going to be and what kind of player they are and where they should be drafted in this upcoming NFL draft, including, popular media and nobody's on NFL draft Twitter. So I'm going to talk about that nemesis, which is going to be for this year, Jayden Daniels, quarterback, LSU. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner, I have personally graded as a second-round pick kind of player. And a lot of people are going to tell me I'm insane. Even my friends who also watch prospects like me will tell you that Jayden Daniels is a first-round pick, and I just can't get there with you guys. And I've explained that in a lot of videos, including the most previous video I've made, which was talking about the New England Patriots being screwed over by the Caleb Williams draft decision. So if you want to check that out after this, go right ahead. But anyway, self-plugging out of the way, let's talk about Jayden Daniels and what he does good and what he's going to need as a rookie, as opposed to who's going to be picking in the top 5, and justify why I think he needs to go to the Chicago Bears at number 1 overall. So as a prospect, Jayden Daniels is a competent passer. He's very accurate, and I think he uses leverage and understanding of his confidence in his receivers enough that he can throw to guys that aren't considered to be wide open or pretty open and still put an accurate ball there and trust that they'll come up with the catches. Now, it helps that he had Malik Neighbors, the second best wide receiver in this draft class, another guy who is also getting first-round draft type that I'm not on board with, in Brian Thomas. And on top of that, he has this overall rushing ability that people have started, comparing him to Lamar Jackson when he was coming out of Louisville and things like that kind of justify why he should go higher in the draft than what maybe someone like Lamar did when he came out, or what somebody like me saying he should come out as. Now, personally, my comp for him, and I kind of like this comp, is Justin Fields. If Justin Fields turned in some of his arm power attribute points in Madden, just overall increases accuracy, because he's much more accurate of a passer than Justin Fields even currently is to this point, and doesn't have quite the howitzer of an arm Fields does, but they both have incredible rushing ability, and I think they both struggled coming out of school with processing defenses and kind of reading through the progressions, especially when defenses disguise coverages post-snap as opposed to what they showed pre-snap, which is where I think Daniels is going to have the most issue, especially when he goes under pressure and his process has to be quick, sped up. He already doesn't have a quick process, and when he's under pressure, he usually will just look for one read, miss a wide open guy because he doesn't have time to get to him, and then run out of the pocket. And even when he isn't pressured, he sometimes will miss guys who are open based on the scheme of the play drawn up versus the coverage that is shown. But that's also just sometimes he just likes to go to his man who's one-on-one, who he knows is going to be open, who he knows can win in a 50-50 catch scenario, which helps when you have guys like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas on your team. So we know that he's going to struggle with defenses early on in his career, and it's going to be like in the NFL where they can more disguise coverage easier and also throw blitzes at him with unusual coverage responsibilities behind it, like D tackles and D linemen dropping back into coverage, taking away the quick flat, or taking away the quick pass that's kind of like the hot route off of the blitz. So he needs to have protection to allow him to still be able to process, even without blitzing, give him some extra time to be able to process because he has a slower processor, as well as some receivers he can trust. Now, both of those would be great and fantastic. One or the other is still all right, but I would rather have both if he's going to go to the place and think that he's going to succeed. Now let's look at who's drafting in the top 3. Number 3 overall, you have New England Patriots, who, while they do a good job of drafting offensive linemen like Sidney Sow recently, even in the late rounds, and developing them to becoming starters. You still have an issue where Demario Douglas was their leading receiver with 500 yards receiving last year. After that, it's like Hunter Henry, who I think his contract's up after 0. If not, he's on the candidate for being cut. Kendrick Bourne, Juju Smith-Schuster when he's not hurt, Kayshon Boutte, who I really liked, but seems to be flaming out as an NFL prospect. There's just a lot of, mystery about who these receivers are going to be for the Patriots. And even though they have a decent amount of cap space and some capital now, they're picking 3rd overall, there's not really a person out there I think they're going to throw money at that can automatically fix that receiving core like a Marvin Harrison Jr. would be, who they'd have to take at 3 overall if they wanted to get him. So while the offensive line aspect is there, and I think that Jayden Daniels would be protected enough there, throwing to the likes of Demario Douglas, who will have no separation for him, and he'll be forced to throw tight window throws every single pass when he finally gets through his progressions, is going to be kind of tough. And if you want to hear more about my thoughts about Jayden Daniels going to the Patriots, watch the video I posted 2 days ago. Other than that, we're going to move on to the Washington Commanders at number 2. Now, the Washington Commanders, you look at their team, he's got Terry McLaurin. We saw Sam Howell cook with guys like Jahan Dotson last year, and they have Brian Robinson as a good complement in the running game, as well as like Antonio Gibson, Jerick McKissick, other guys there that are able to catch passes and provide a rushing attack with, Jayden Daniels being a runner himself. That's kind of a two-dimensional offense there, or multi-dimensional offense that maybe something like the Patriots, who had a mobile quarterback prior and didn't really use them to their fullest advantage, may not have. But then you look at Sam Howell cooking with these receivers, but also having the 4th most sacks taken in a season of all time. Now, I don't think Sam Howell is blameless for those sacks. He holds onto the ball a little longer than most people should. He doesn't throw the ball away. He takes risky plays and will take sacks when he probably shouldn't. But at the same time, you can't put that all on Sam Howell to be the 4th most all time. Like, there's still going to be their offensive line getting their butt kicked the entire time. And for someone who is going to have a slow processor coming into the NFL than most top-end quarterback prospects will in Jayden Daniels, he's going to need a little bit more time, or even when he have 3+ seconds to be able to get through his progressions because he's not as fast to get through them. So even if he holds the ball a little longer like Sam Howell does, it's because he's trying to get through his reads and not turn the ball over. And if you have your right tackle getting smoked every play after 1.5 seconds, that's not really going to be inducive for Jayden Daniels to succeed in that offense. And no matter how confident of quarterback you are, if you're throwing 50-50 balls to Demario Douglas, or seeing Sadiq Charles get smoked 7 times in a row in front of you, you're not going to have that confidence to be able to sit in the pocket, find your receivers, or trust your receivers, and start to grow as a processor and as an NFL level quarterback when you're trying to think about all these different threats that are surrounding you, that like the New England receiving core or Washington's offensive line aren't going to be really fixable in one off season. So unless you were expecting Jayden Daniels to totally suck his rookie year and not impact him at all, and then hopefully build on that from going forward, I don't really think those 2 places are the best landing spots for Daniels. They're much more indicative of a place for a Caleb Williams or Drake May to go, who can both succeed in structure, but when the structure around them isn't that great, like how May was at North Carolina, you can just go on and make plays off script and make these crazy plays that'll still make the offense move. But when you have lesser pieces around them, it doesn't impact them as much as someone like Jayden Daniels may have to have in the NFL. And now we get to the Chicago Bears, who currently have a situation where they're looking to move on from Justin Fields. Potentially, that's what the rumors are right now going around. Maybe that's just smoke to try to get some more, offers for the number 1 overall pick, because they're debating not taking a quarterback there, stuff like that. So right now, we don't really know what the absolute certainty that's going on with the Bears and their decision with Justin Fields and the number 1 overall pick is. But going under the consideration that they want to move on from Fields and get a new quarterback, if they took Jayden Daniels, this would be the one spot I think he would succeed the most in. Now, what do we talk about with Jayden Daniels? He needs a solid offensive line and wide receivers he can trust immediately, so that way when he's, either rushed in his processing, he can just throw it to his number 1 guy he knows has good leverage or one-on-one coverage and try to have an accurate throw there. And also has an offensive line that could protect him long enough so that way he can get through his progressions. Now, the Bears' offensive line isn't fantastic. However, at the end of the season there, Justin Fields started taking less and less sacks as the season came to the end. They still averaged around 3 sacks a game, but they got their lowest sack totals consistently. They weren't having 6 and 4 sack games, except for the last game of the year against the Packers, where they led up 5. Other than that, they had 1 sack game, 2 sack, and a couple threes. So the offensive line began to progress more as they played more games together. And with the amount of capital in the draft that the Bears have, and about the amount of cap space they're going to have as well, similar to what the other 2 teams we already talked about have in cap space, they'll be able to invest maybe another player in a guard to push either Tevin Jenkins or Nate Davis for a starting position. And if not, then they can just draft somebody in the mid rounds and see if those starters can continue to gel. As well, compared to what the Commanders have and the Patriots, I think they still have the best receiving core of the three. Like, I know Jahan Dotson went off pretty good this year, but I'm still not totally sold on him as a pro. Whereas you have DJ Moore, definitive one, in the similar mold to how Terry McLaurin's number one over anything the Patriots have, but also like a guy like Darnell Mooney, who is an established slot guy, Tyler Scott, who I really like, and you have the number 9 overall pick as well to grab another receiver who's going to be an overqualified number 2. And you also have a stud tight end in Cole Kmet there. So there's some decent weapons on the Bears offense already, and they have plenty of capital to invest into those spots specifically, especially because they already have 2 young, talented tackles who they drafted one last year in the first round. They have a good center. And like I said, their guards are fine. They're not fantastic, but they're all right. So they could also invest lesser into those guards, but still trying to get some competition in there while investing more money into their weapons and their defense, which allows Jayden Daniels to come in, have those good weapons on the outside, and even in the slot with Darnell Mooney, have a solid offensive line, a running game that has seen success with guys like Deonta Foreman in it. And this would probably be the best spot for him to go. Now, you're going to stop the video and say, hey, wait, Owen, you said that your comp to Jayden Daniels was similar to that of Justin Fields. And I do. I think Justin Fields and Jayden Daniels are almost the exact same quarterback. Maybe Justin Fields is a little more seasoned now than Jayden Daniels is coming out as a rookie. But Jayden Daniels isn't that far of a drop-off from Justin Fields. And if that's the case, why don't you just keep Justin Fields? You've already seen success. You pushed for a playoff spot. You were basically up to the end of the season before getting eliminated to be that number 7 seed in the week NFC. Why wouldn't you just keep Justin Fields and take a number 1 pick and invest it somewhere else like you were saying to do that? Money, my friends. Money. Justin Fields is due for his big boy contract. They have to either decide to give him his 5th-year option this year or go on one more season with his 4th year and then maybe franchise tag him, give him his actual big boy contract. If you look at the bridge deals we've seen recently, like Daniel Jones, that's $40 million a year. So a lot of that cap space that a team like the Bears has, but he's going to have to sink a lot of that into Fields' contract, which the Commanders and the Patriots don't have to worry about. They can use that cap space to invest into other players. And with the Bears' offense already looking kind of better than both those other teams we just talked about previously, and being able to reset that quarterback contract for another 5 years on a rookie deal, and then also invest the rest of their money now, not having to worry about putting into a quarterback contract, but to surround that quarterback who's on a rookie deal with other talent to compound on what they already have. And I believe that's the best place for him to land if he's going to succeed of these early teams, if we're going to talk about Jayden Daniels being a top 5 pick. Now, realistically, talking all this aside, I do think the best motive option is for them to take Caleb Williams at number 1 and trade Justin Fields and get another pick for him, like maybe early 2nd round, and then try to build around Caleb Williams. If they do like Jayden Daniels that much that they're debating taking him at 1, trade back with like New England at 3. Have New England jump Washington for whatever quarterback they want at 1. Go to 3, get Jayden Daniels at 3. If he falls, or, same thing, have 2 jump to 1 so that way it blocks out everybody else. If you really are sold on Jayden Daniels being that Justin Fields replacement, which, again, I think he's an equal level player to them. That's why I have a 2nd round grade on him. And if you're going to trade Justin Fields right now, you're going to fetch a 2nd round pick. The other 2 guys, Drake May and Caleb Williams, I definitely have top 10 grades on. So I would not do this in the slightest. Like I said, I'm not a Jayden Daniels guy, but just trying to make the argument of where he's going to succeed, going to the Bears, which currently right now is number 1 overall pick, and I'm not mocking any trades. You can't make me. Jayden Daniels to the Bears is the best landing spot of the top 5 of teams that will need quarterbacks, because the other ones are like the Giants and the Chargers or something like that. So like they're not really going to be in the market for drafting a guy in the top 5 right now. So of those 3 teams that are currently in the top 5, the Bears are the best landing spot at number 1. But yeah, if you disagree with me or agree with me, go ahead and leave a comment. I really liked the comments I was getting from the Patriots fans in the last video I made. It made my day to go in there and keep talking with them and debating them on the different points I couldn't make in the time span I was trying to keep the video in. So as much engagement, I will respond to every comment down there, whether you want to come at me for my take, agree with me and expand on it, or just say hi. I will respond to every single one of them, and yeah, we'll try to grow this community a little more. But yeah, comment, just drop a like if you want, and subscribe, all that other YouTube BS. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.